Fusion 360 is a great software to make your designs for 3D printing. Now, it is a little more intimidating than something like Tinkercad, which I looked at in a previous video of mine, but honestly, Fusion 360, if you just break it down into little parts, isn't too bad. I'm Ashley, and this is Chip Builds. Today, I'm going to show you how to design an ice cream cone that you can print out and use it as decor for your tiered tray setup or just home decor or whatever. This is just a really basic tutorial to kind of get you jump started in Fusion 360. Now, Fusion 360 is a free software for hobbyists. If you do more than that, you're going to have to pay their subscription, but overall, it's a really great software and I love using it. So let's jump in. So here in Fusion 360, when you first open it, you have this kind of new document that it presets to, and the first thing I always like to do is hit Command or Control S. So this, I'm going to save it as ice cream tut for a tutorial. And then now you can see at the top here that it has changed to ice cream tut version 0. So the first thing we're going to do is create a 2D sketch of what we want to make in Fusion 360. Now, you don't actually have to do this step in Fusion 360, but typically it is better if you do. I kind of do a little bit of a cheating way a lot of the time, and I'll make a DXF file in Adobe Illustrator to kind of give myself a head start rather than just jumping straight into Fusion 360, because I'm still learning Fusion 360 and there's just some stuff that I think for me is easier in Adobe Illustrator just because I use that program on a daily basis. So if we come up here to the top where it says solid, we'll see that there is a create sketch button. And if you hover over all of these tools, it will show you what they are about. And so let's click it. And now we can choose what plane we want it to be on. I'm going to choose it to be on this bottom plane. So now you can see up here, our tools have kind of changed at the top, and these are our sketch tools. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do a 2-point rectangle, and I'm just going to come here to the center and kind of move my mouse about. And you can see as I'm moving my mouse, these are changing. Now for this, I want this to be about 100 millimeters tall. And then I can hit tab and that will bring me to the next dimension. And then for this, I'm going to do, let's say like 63.5 millimeters. And then I can hit enter, and then now you can see we have our box. So now that we have our generic box shape, we got to make it actually look like an ice cream cone. So what we're going to do is round over all the sides of it to give it that kind of iconic ice cream shape. And so what we're going to do over here where it says modify, we're going to come over here and click fillet or fillet. I don't know, I think it's fillet. And we can click on this corner and we can click on this corner, and then it's going to show us what it's going to look like. Now, I think that's a little too kind of square-ish still. And so you can use this arrow and just change it. And so I think we're going to do 30. I think 30 looks good. And so I hit enter. And then now you can see our shape has changed. And now Fusion 360 is telling us that this is a 30, I believe, radius. And so now we can come down here and do the same thing for that. I'm going to hit fillet again. And I'm going to hit this path and this path. But however, I don't want it to be 20. I think that's too much. So I'm going to hit 5 and see what that looks like. As you can see here, it looks a little bit small, and that's exactly what I want. So I'm going to hit enter as well. And then now we have our sketch pretty well defined. So you could stop here and just extrude your shape, and then you have your ice cream shape. But I'm going to do something a little bit different. I want this to have a bite taken out of it. So we're going to add some circles. So we're going to come up here to the top again where we have the create tools. I'm going to hit the center diameter circle. I'm just going to come somewhere kind of over to the side. I'm going to pull out a circle and hit enter. And for me, the size honestly just does not matter. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to hit C is the shortcut for circle. And I'm just going to draw out another circle and hit enter. And then I can actually grab this with my mouse and move this about. So then I'm going to hit C again for circle, and then I'm going to just make another little circle here and hit enter as well. And so now what we can do is we have all these kind of crazy shapes, and so we are going to trim out this inner part. So I'm going to hit T for trim, or you can hit these little scissors, and I'm just going to cut these lines that are inside these circles because we don't need those. So now we finished our sketch and we can move on to the next step, which is extruding this into a 3D shape, because right now we're still in a 2D plane. And so for that, we're going to come up here to create where it says extrude, and you can click it. The shortcut is E if you would rather do that. And then I'm going to click on this shape. And so as you can see, because we did those circles, and they're overlapping. If I wanted to do the whole thing, I would have to click that part again, but because we've added the circles, it's already cut out that shape for us, and so now we can extrude just the parts that we want. So I think I'm going to extrude this to 1/2 inch. So what I can do is just hit 0.5 inch and then hit enter. And then now you can see our sketch has gone away, but that's okay. But so if we change the view over here in the top right, if we click this little home, look at that. We now have a 3D shape. And so that's pretty exciting. So the next thing I want to do is I want to come back to this cube over here and hit front, because I want to make a new sketch right on this bottom part, because we need to make the stick for the ice cream to hold onto. And then so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this face, and I'm going to come up here to the top left where it says create sketch, and then now we are creating a sketch on this plane. So I'm going to make a little rectangle here, and then let's just do like 14 millimeters seems good. And we'll just hit enter. We'll do, I guess, what, 3 right there. Hit enter, and then now we're good to go. And so we can just grab this with our mouse and kind of put it where we think it will go. Now you could go and fully define this and have it equidistant from the top and the bottom, but because this is just a decor piece, we're just going to leave it as is and kind of eyeball the placement of it. So now we can finish our sketch, and we're going to do that same thing. We're going to hit E for extrude, and I'm going to take this cube up here and kind of move it about just so I can kind of see what's happening. And I'm going to pull this down a bit, and I'm going to come over here actually and change it to 2 sides so I can move each side. And then I'm going to pull this up a little bit. So now you can see the color has changed and it wants to actually cut into our piece. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is come over here to the panel, and where it says operation instead of cut, for the moment we are going to make a new body, and then we can click OK. So now we have that. And if you look, now we have our ice cream cone. Now this is a little bit long, so we can come in here actually and double click down here at the bottom in our timeline. So we can actually adjust this and update it, and then that looks like a much better thing. And so now we're good. So now that we have our 2 different shapes, I want to cut these out so that the 2 different pieces can be printed in 2 different colors, and then we can attach them ourselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these 2 shapes, but we're going to kind of cut into the main ice cream body, but we're still going to keep this stick. So I'm going to come up here to the top where it says modify and click combine. I'm going to click these 2 different bodies. And then what's really important is I'm going to click this keep tools, because I want to keep the stick. And so the operation right now says join, but this time we want to actually change it to a cut. And so I know it looks like we're going to lose our stick right now, but we're not, because we've checked the keep tools options, and then we can click OK. And then now, as you can see, if we open up our bodies panel, we have the stick there. If we move this stick and look at the front view, we now have an opening for the stick to actually go into, and so that's really awesome. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is I want to make sure that this piece does not have any kind of sharp edges. So we're going to do some roundovers. So we're going to do some more fillets along this piece. And this is just more purely for the decorative side of things. You can absolutely just leave it as is and print it off, and then you have an ice cream good to go. Okay, so I'm going to come up here to the top again and to modify and click fillet. And then I'm going to click this outside path here, and then I'm going to click the outside of each of these little bite marks, and then I'm going to hit 1 millimeter as a round over. Let's see if we can do 2. So we're going to do 2 millimeters. It looks like it'll let us do 2 millimeters. Sometimes in Fusion 360, because it's all math based, you can't do certain numbers of fillets or kind of chamfers, and so you kind of just got to do what it's going to allow you to do. And then so now we can come and do the back side of that as well. Same thing, we're going to hit F for fillet. We're going to choose the same little pieces just on the opposite side, and we'll hit 2 so that it matches. And then what I want to do is I want to come and get these kind of sharp little pieces from the bite itself. So we'll hit F again for fillet, and we're just going to get these 4 little pieces. And for this, I think we're just going to do 1. Let me see what 2 looks like. 2 might be, 2 looks fine. So we'll do 2. And then, so now let's go back to our home view, and now we want to do this piece right here. We're going to hit, so for this it might be easier to hide the main bodies. We're going to hit fillet again, we'll hit F, And so for this, I want to choose these two sides because I want it to be rounded on the bottom. So 5 looks like a pretty good number. Let's see if we can do more. Let's do 6 and see what that looks like. Let's do 7. Let's do 8. No, 8 is too much. 7. We'll do 7 millimeters for the round over for that on the bottom. And then at the top here, we're going to do something kind of similar, but not as harsh. We just want it to be a little bit over. So we'll just do 2 at the top. And then we can also fillet the sides of this popsicle stick. But for this, we're just going to do like a real little one. So let's just do 1. And so now we have our stick, and you can see it's nice and rounded over. Let's hit our home button again. Then we can turn on the other body. And now we have our ice cream, and it's good to go, and we can send it off to the 3D printer and print it out. So in order to save our files for something that we can print, we're going to come up here to the top where it says Utilities. We're going to click Make, and I'll choose this main body. And I don't want to send it to a custom output. I just want to save the file itself. So I'll click OK. And then we're going to name this ice cream. And then let's do Make again. And we're going to click the stick this time. And we're going to click Stick. And now we can import this into our slicing software and print it out. Okay, so I've just opened up Prusa Slicer, and we're going to import our files. So I'm just going to click Add and click Ice Cream, and then now it'll drop us in. So I want this to print standing up because I want to do a color change to kind of simulate kind of a rocket pop feel. So we're going to put it on its face like that, and that's looking good to me. And so I'm going to click Slice Now. And so now we're going to add a color change into here. And what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to this right where it shows how tall our print is going to be. So I'm going to come up here between the 30 and the 35, and I'll click that plus button. And now that is adding a color change. And then if we come up here, I don't know, to roughly like 66 as well. And then now we have another color change. And so you can obviously set this to however you want, however many colors you want, or if you don't want any colors, you don't have to do any kind of color change. But I just want to show you how easy it actually is. And then now, as you can see, the slicer is showing us that there's going to be 3 different color changes in here. And then so we can click Slice Now. And it says it will take 3 hours and 5 minutes. Well guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that it helped you learn Fusion 360 a little bit. We just kind of went over the basics. Let me know down below if you have any questions or comments about the video. I'll be more than happy to get in touch with you and try to help you out. But honestly, I love how these little ice cream cones came out. They are super cute with the little bite and everything, and with the little stick coming out as well. I use print bed mini spools for this project, and I am in love with the filament. It comes out so clean and perfect. I mean, don't mind this one. This one has some bad layer adhesion, but that is totally my fault. I would put the wrong settings in, so that's not the filament's fault, it's mine. But honestly, this thing looks so freaking cool. So thanks for watching, guys. See ya.